Well, hello there, and welcome to episode 10 of The Doucheless Vegan.
So exciting.
We're in the double digits now, just like my IQ. Obviously, it's in the high double digits. It's 10. Please. I'm Carla Collins, and I am a newbie vegan, or maybe born-again vegan, and, of course, our grand chef and lord of the vegans. Our host is Michael Stewart Webb. We're glad that you're with us. Oh, bonjour. Oh, you know how it arouses me when we speak French.
I know. I've been practicing my French as much as I'm able.
You have a beautiful accent, by the way.
Oh, stop.
You do. No, it's like, because you
Really?
know, people are like, bonjour. Je parle français, because I know you like it, Carl. And I'm like, no, please don't do this in bed.
Don't speak Quebecois.
Don't, please. It's upsetting to
Wow.
me and my alter ego souffle. But no, you have a beautiful accent.
Well, thank you. I'm flattered.
Yes, I noticed that. And here's why. We'll get to other stuff later, but the show
Let's get
again,
the important
as
stuff.
we keep telling you, we're just trying to give you some life hacks to be a vegan, maybe introduce some Meatless Mondays, or just if you're looking to make your diet just a tad more plant-based. We're not here to recruit or
No, we're not a cult.
We do no. It's just really Michael and I gossiping and drinking. Let's be honest. Cheers. And then we often have
your kilt.
a recipe. This week we have a faux ground beef off.
Yes, really.
Oh, that sounds filthy. People are like, what are those two going to do? Don't worry about it.
Yeah, it's coming up.
See the fake meat to beat. So when you were speaking French, I noticed that because we just finished watching The Serpent on Netflix.
Oh my God, what an unbelievable show that was.
Almost a little bit too dark for me. You know, I like the dark humor because it's slimming, but this was, well, you know, I watched most of it with my eyes closed, hiding under Duke in a blanket.
I know. And the crazy thing is, as we were saying, is that this is nonfiction. It's based in fact. Like this is a tale of some real shenanigans.
Well, that's what made it so horrifying and creepy. We won't give anything away, but the lead character, there was so much French being spoken through it. I was loving it.
Yeah, it was beautiful.
Not to brag, but this bitch didn't need the subtitles because I'm bi. And,
I'm glad you threw that in there.
And the lead character, well, he wants to be called Alain. It's not his real name. And you said, well, no, that's a picture of Alain, Carla. And I was like, oh, fiance's accent. If I wasn't such a lady, my mom would so approve. Yeah,
if I wasn't such a rager.
I know. Stop doing everything perfectly. I've really developed a complex since being here. But and then we were going to talk about so many video dates this week. We're so popular in police state lockdown.
Oh my God.
But I was talking to someone whom I refer to as my gym hubby. I know everybody's got a nickname. Okay, Beyonce, this is Gym Hubby, because we both taught at Gold's. Norman, and I have to say, so we were chatting away, and I haven't talked to Norman in a long time, and he really is like a doppelganger. I showed you a picture. He looks a lot like the lead actor.
He does. And let's just talk about casting for 1 second. So at the end of this series, they were sort of catching everybody up. What happened?
Right, because these were all based
in fact,
real
right?
people.
Real story. And so they showed us photos of the real criminals, and then showed us photos of the cast members, and it was remarkable.
It was doppelganger city.
It was absolutely remarkable.
The casting was impeccable, and I was saying, so personally, I did not recognize any of the actors. And I was telling you that a buddy of mine who's become an insanely successful writer in Los Angeles, John Rogers, said television used to make stars instead of stars making television. And I have to say, and I was mentioning Schitt's Creek because a lot of the, except for Eugene Levy and, of course, Catherine O'Hara.
Oh, yeah, Catherine O'Hara.
I didn't know any of the actors. And sometimes it really helps that you lose yourself in that whole... in the stories, because it's wonderful to have unknowns, or I'm sure they've been acting their whole lives, but sometimes in regional theater or doing whatever you have to do. And I didn't recognize any, and the cast was at one point. One of the leads was doing a soliloquy or a monologue, and I said, "That's the Emmy clip," and you're like, "What?" And I'm like, "That's what I like to play when I'm watching shows." That's the clip they use for when he's nominated for an Emmy. But now I find myself both terrified and slightly attracted to Norman because the lead character was like a cult leader. He was serial killers get mad pussy. awesome, rich, smart dames were going for him.
I know, and that's the thing, though, right? I mean, they're suave and debonair, and that's how they manage to suck people into this cult-like lifestyle and get them to do their bidding. I mean, it was no different than that Jamestown dude.
Exactly. Well, this guy was the lead character, and the serpent himself was quite charismatic cult leader.
He was. And I remember thinking to myself as we were watching this program, like he rarely ever raised his voice. So he was always very calm and soothing.
Super controlling.
Well, sure, but I mean, it was listening to his voice was almost soothing too, right? So I think
I nearly hired him for a comedic meditation. You're really going to relax. I mean, he's also probably going to kill you. Patton Oswalt has a great one-liner. He's talked about his nephew having the confidence of a serial killer, and it's so true. You really need to be confident to be a serial killer.
You do. You need to be have crazy confidence.
But yeah, so anyway, that's we're looking for
another
a new one now.
Yeah. And we'll find it. Oliver, yes.
Oliver, our psychic and good friend.
Sexy, hot Danish friend.
Yes, the sexy, blonde, blue-eyed Danishman. I just got off the phone with him before our recording, and a couple things. First of all, I'm going to be a huge star on Netflix. That's pending. My status is pending and buffering on that. Imminent. And also, he was saying it's so good that you're there in Canada with Michael, but you're going to have to come. You're coming back to LA, Carla. That's what I see. And Michael's coming with you.
Hercules.
So,
and you know how much I love LA. I spent a lot of time in LA prior to acquiring the farm. And so we're going to look for something in the Boo because I love Malibu. And you, of course, lived in Malibu for the longest time. And it's close to Venice Beach and Abbot Kinney, all those places I
love
absolutely
that you're saying we're going to look because you've already been looking. That's what was. So you've been looking for the last month for places for us in Malibu. And I'm like, And because Oliver's like, I don't know how Michael will feel about this, but
Michael's all over it, Oliver.
He's going with you. And I'm like, Michael's already on that.
Michael's all over it.
Hey, fiance's already grabbing us a home on the water.
Oh my God, could you imagine?
I can't even stand it. I can't even stand with shenanigans. I mean, look at me. Because, see, I have become total farm girl here. More on that in a second. And then I'm going to make you a beach boy. Like
that's
I was
right.
Like a beach bunny like myself in Malibu.
Get me a Kyle and a surfboard.
Exactly. He'll teach you how to surf. All the craziness that I've brought into your life. We're going to oil and lube and rotate your chakras.
Oh my God, stop. I need a moment. Mm-hmm. I'm sweating.
So that was fun. So at any rate, our psychic, Oliver, and that's the kind of show you're listening to, that we start sentence with our psychic. We share custody of a psychic. We're also drinking. Oh, really? I couldn't notice that with your slur, Carla. He said we should watch something called Bonding.
Yeah, and I think that you and I had maybe happenstanced upon that a couple of months ago in the previews. And is that not that thing about bondage
yes, I do remember
something?
Seeing this. Well, I guess it's a sick. He said it's very funny. He's like, I was watching Bonding and I couldn't stop thinking about you. It's about a woman who needs money and becomes a dominatrix. And I'm like, why did I come to mind? What are you saying? It's tough being a comedian this year.
What are you saying, Oliver?
And I was, because I could yield a whip. That's
what he's saying.
I'll have to wear pleather, of course.
Vegan
leather.
naturally, yes.
Vegan leather. I mean, I'm all in. So yeah, so that was that's when I noticed you had a beautiful accent.
Well, thank you. I'm flattered. I really am.
I'm telling because my mom would be because she would always say, "Il a l'oreille." He has the ear. Like if you can speak, because that's why language is so much easier when we're a little bébé.
Yeah.
As Moira Rose would say on Schitt's Creek, when we're younger and we're kids, first of all, that we're not afraid of making mistakes. That's why a lot of people speak fluently when they're drinking. And also your ear is much better, more malleable then. And so you tend to have a beautiful accent, but you're like, oh my God, that's a picture of Alain. And I'm like, oh, mon Dieu, stop.
Well, thank you.
So you should
practice my French.
I know, and you'll probably learn it in a week or something because you're some kind of weird, freaky superhuman that does everything. And you'll be like, look, I'm fluent in French. Got a place in Malibu. I've already bought one. And I'll be like, I'm just here I'm the ride or die. So, yep, I'm the wing woman.
Oh, my God.
Best segue ever. Speaking of wing woman.
Yes?
We have new additions here on the farm.
I know. Oh, my God. You are the best chicken doula ever, too.
I'm a cockadoodle doula. I can't even stand it. So Tuesday of this week, I'm working at the computer And gay fiance is out in the field somewhere doing some tractor work. I don't know what he does out there.
Tractor work.
I don't know. What were you doing?
I don't know. Oh, I think I was doing some more demolition work on the building.
Yeah, you were building some type of conduit back there. I don't know what you get up to, but I know you're doing it all on your own. And I'm impressed, but now I don't even want to know because I'm like, there's some type of wizardry involved and maybe I should know. But, and the dogs, as you know, I mean, we have the world's most loving and least independent dogs. They're right now, all three of them are always with us, and they were all by my feet. And we just have the one cat that roams, that has the run of the place, Chatty.
Chatsworth.
All four, Chatsworth, the name of my imaginary butler. All four were right near me, and I'm hearing kind of like a ruckus, like somebody kicking something over. I'm like, well, what's making that noise? I knew the kittens were up in my room. And then chirping, and I'm like, holy shit. So there's like a completely fully formed chicken in the incubator amongst the eggs. And I was like, ah! And phoned you.
I know. And I was panicking. Like when I'm working outside, I always have my earbuds in, and I'm usually listening to tunes and stuff. But I look at my phone, I'm like, oh, Christ, who's calling me now? And I look at and it's Carla, and I'm thinking, like, you're less than 100 yards away. So I start panicking because I think something's wrong. And immediately I think of my 13-year-old chocolate lab.
Yeah, well, no, the call's coming from inside the house because I don't know what to do with a fully formed chicken in the incubator. I'm like, do I take it out? And the incubator beeps every time you touch it. And I'm freaking out, like, beep, beep, like the fries are ready and everyone's going to die. And I was freaking, and you're like, oh, that's what, and I'm like, get here now. And you did, thank God. And you're like, here, hold. And I was just like, what's this now? Because that's how I've become a farmhand. Like, everybody's laughing because I'm the biggest city girl in the world. Because you just keep having me do stuff. You're like, no, the horses love it. And I'm like, oh, okay. So you just put the chicken in my hands, and I'm like, what? So they're all, there are 8 of them. I call them the Grateful Eight. Tarantino and a Hallmark movie combined. And they're living in the downstairs bathroom in the bathtub with heaters and heating pads.
Yeah, they're a little older.
Bird feed, and you made a nest out of, okay, and my panic was the next day you were in Toronto, and if I'd been here alone, I would have been trying to breastfeed. I don't know what I really would have been a mess. Like, I was like,
I would like to have seen. I would have paid money to see you
crap.
trying to breastfeed
I don't even know what I'd be like. What do chickens like? I would have been doing my best foghorn leghorn, like, boy, I say, boy, put your ball glove on. I don't know what I would have done. But I do. I keep holding them to my heart and to my neck. They seem to love that. God. So for me, witnessing the birth, I even filmed it.
I know you did. You put it up on YouTube. It was precious. It's not YouTube, but Facebook.
It's so extraordinary.
Yeah. I mean, there's all kinds of miracles here at the farm.
I mean, that alone was just, it's an honor. It was just beautiful. And you're like, here, have him look at you because he's imprinting on you, bitch, because they're going to follow you around. I'm like, I'm fine with that. I'm fine with that. But now the issue is because we have 8 and I have named them chakra and then the 7 chakras. So the poor guy called Throat is like, what? Why
you not like me, mommy?
How, somebody's third eye, somebody's heart, and I'm Throat? I sound like an informant from the Nixon era. But the problem is we're hoping most of them are indeed chicks, like as in women. As in women. You know what I mean? Like female. Fully grown.
Oh,
we want parents.
Voluptuous women.
We would like some rather zaftig, lovely ladies. Because we have the whole reason we have these chickens is because you have a lonely rooster.
I know. I have a cock already.
Yes.
So I just... I have a cockerel
as well, and apparently in North America you can only have the one. It's not European here, but yeah, because it's not. We don't want a Mexican cockfight. Yes, we don't want husband cocks.
Have another slurp.
I did.
Yeah, so they'll fight.
So they'll fight. So we have to figure out if we have dudes, but I don't know how to do that.
Well, apparently there is some way to sex chickens. You'll have to pull it up on YouTube or something.
Yeah, be very careful if you're Googling how to sex chickens.
Yeah, don't do it at the office.
No, I feel like a lot of weird shit's going to come up. Like that's just a wormhole you don't want to go down.
Exactly.
How to sex chickens. How to find out the gender of a chicken is what I suggest we put in there. Yeah. By the way, they're not even staying on my hair, which is full Simba. Or I also I kind of think I look like Will Ferrell, who was the bad guy in Zoolander.
Oh, maybe a little.
Thank you. So we have these beautiful chickens. It's amazing.
Yeah, they're super cute.
A
And
little chirping and
and so they're also endangered. They're astrolorps and their heritage breed that's endangered. So we're doing a little something to try and keep the breed alive a little longer, right?
Yes, because as we mentioned, when I thought the rooster would be lonely, because tragically a raccoon killed
Our last
Henny,
Henny Penny.
the dyslexic chicken.
Was it the chicken that was dyslexic?
You were all ranty, like, you're going to go back to LA and I have to handle all this stuff on the farm by myself. I don't need another chicken. I'll just put the ducks in there. And I'm like, that may be confusing, but very open-minded of you. And I just thought you would go get like a rescue chicken, which I assume literally is crossing the road up at a farm somewhere here. And you're like, no, I must get endangered eggs and we have to lay them. And I don't know. It was a whole thing. An incubator came and all of a sudden there was like 16 eggs. And you're like, if we get 16 chickens, I'm going to kill you. And I'm like, I don't know what to do. I just thought you would go get a hen. I figured there's like a hen vending machine. I don't know. Like, not exactly, but I just thought really you would just get one already made.
Well, already made, she says.
A pret-a-porter.
Well, darling, you know me. I mean, I'm always go big or go home, right? So
I know, but I was getting blamed for it, and you're like, no, I have to go to Oshawa. And I'm like, again, dude, I didn't know we had to get Fabergé eggs. So, but so worth it. And they're beautiful.
yeah, they're so cute.
And they're all fluffy. And
I
they
know.
grow so quickly because they're only a couple days old.
Yeah, well, they hatch on Tuesday, and of course, 21 days to the day. Mm-hmm.
I know. I was like, oh my god, this is really like a Swiss clock. Some hatch the next day.
Yeah, I think we had 2 the following day.
But so it was pretty awesome.
Yeah, it was pretty magical.
Doing like a whole like chicken Lamaze class. All right, deep breaths. Push, and I was. I mean, it is. My brother's like, I can't even believe that's you, because you're like, come on, little guy, one more push, and I'm like, I don't know, what was I supposed to do? Because you were like, okay, I'm gonna go back outside. So if they have any trouble getting out of their shell, help them. I'm like, what? Do you know how many times I dropped my iPhone? No. So I just was cheering them on in the incubator, like, all right, let's go, team. You got this, because I don't want to mess up here.
Oh, that's awesome.
But yeah, so it was pretty magical, I gotta say.
Yeah, there's all kinds of miracles that happen here.
It was fantastic. There really is. I have to say, like, and I think I told you this week. I'm like, I did manifest this because I've always just wanted to live somewhere with a shit ton of animals.
I know, right? And look at what's happening.
I know, it's amazing. I love it. And so now I've got dogs following me around, and the Three Stooges kittens, and a horse who keeps nibbling my hair. Well, he is a guy after all.
Of course,
hair.
yes.
Diego was, and only when it's curly.
I wonder if he is mistaking it for hay or something.
Flattering. I hope he's not I condition. Horse. Here comes that walking hay. We know this because she's in high heels, and we've never seen that on the farm. So before we get to more gossip and other shenanigans,
yes,
we'll get to some vegan foods. Briefly. No, we have an exciting competition, and also first, as a fluffer, you brought home some Lifelite. Is it
Lifelite? Yes.
Snossage, just because I want to say the word snossage.
Is that what you feed dogs?
Yeah, they're called snossages. I don't know. It's really one of those funny words. It's just fun to say. Again, we're in a police state lockdown. Let's find our thrills where we can, which I really liked. You weren't as keen on, but I thought it was really yummy.
Yeah, I mean, it was for me just a little bit. It was kind of bland, and I like flavorful food.
Spicy.
I do. Well, I mean, it doesn't necessarily need to be, hot spice either. I like flavor. And so, texturally, and I'm a texture kind of guy.
We call him the texture queen.
It's true, amongst other things.
But it was like I thought it was amazing in the pasta. It was my favorite one so far. I think it's tough for them to recreate sausage for some reason. Sausage and bacon seem to be.
Well, bacon I know is particularly tough, and as we've established on other episodes, the whole pepperoni thing was a dismal failure,
that's
to the point where we're going to actually start creating our own.
The pepperoni disappointed us more than I've disappointed men.
And me too, apparently.
So the pepperoni was a no-go. But this is all leading up to our big competition.
Yes.
We did a competition between 4 leading vegan faux ground beef that we call...
Let's get ready to crumble!
I love it.
Our first sound effect on the Dish is Vegan.
Hercules.
Courtesy of Craig Stepp. Thank you so much.
Yes, thanks, Craig. Absolutely adore Craig.
He's got such a great voice.
Oh, he does.
My God, that's sexy.
He's the full package. I mean, he's tall and built like a brick shithouse, and he's funny, and he's warm and charming, and he's got that incredibly sexy voice that everyone just wants.
Well, voices are so important. Like,
Well, they
that
are.
is like really clutch, because you can be, Denzel Washington meets Channing Tatum meets Zac Efron. And if you're like, hey, everybody, and you come out as Mickey Mouse.
Just trying to visualize that right now.
I know, it's a boner killer.
Oh my
But
God.
I know guys like that, and you're like, oh dear, why do you sound like? Where's the kaboom? Why do you sound like Marvin Martian
or Kermit or
I know, like
I know.
yeah, you don't want to sound like Muppets are great, but not in the boudoir, as far as I know. Maybe Animal, but yes. So thank you, Craig, for doing that.
Yeah, he's such a good sport.
We were one of our video dates. We had so many video dates. We were sliding around on Zoom this week.
It's been a very busy week of
It was.
Zoom whoring.
It was. We were just a couple of Zoom hoes, and on Tuesday it was my good friend Kevin Vickery.
Mm-hmm.
He was the previous gay fiance. Don't be jealous.
I'm not jealous.
And it was his birthday, so we called him, and he's Craig
lovely.
the human nut. He's so funny.
Yeah.
And he's like, "How's the human nutcracker doing?" He's like, "How does Craig poop with his butt? Does he just take a crowbar?" I'm like, I don't know. Next time I'm talking to him, I'll ask.
Oh, Jesus.
So it's our crumble. It's our let's get ready to crumble, because so pleased with myself with that wordplay that we're going to work it like an old whore at a half price sale. But I will let Michael tell you what we did. We have 4 contestants.
We had 4 contestants, and so they were Yves, faux ground beef. We had a contender from Gardein, and also in the mix was Life Flight, and our 4th contender was Beyond Meat ground beef.
Beyond Meat ground beef. Yeah. So, people have probably heard of the Beyond Meat burgers. And Gardein, of course, last week we gave a giant blowy to, because we've been so
We love their stuff.
fond of their stuff, like their chicken and their turkey and fish and so many things. So it was very fun last night.
Yes, and we
You made tacos for us.
taco / burrito, however you want to assemble it. And just to be fair, we made sure that each of the contenders had the exact same amount of zhuzhing. So,
How did you zhuzh? What did you put in the ground beef?
So
The faux ground beef?
each of them got a medium-sized white onion diced and sautéed up with the ground beef, and each of them got the same amount of Tex-Mex seasoning, Vegeta, and you know how much I love that shit.
Every time he says Vegeta.
I know.
It's funny that you love something so much that starts with a V.
I know, it's shocking
It's
to me as
ironic.
well. I know, and it sounds
The
a lot.
Vegeta monologues. That's just where there's 3 vegan bitches.
Oh God.
We don't usually record it this late.
Oh my God.
Anyway, yes.
And then each of them had the same quantity of cumin added to the mix, and we cooked it down, and
Yes, and before we tell you the winners, I want to tell everybody about my drink that I had with it, because we were having Mexican. Because I feel like I invented this drink, but I also thought that I invented the word snooge for my lady bits. It turns out it's just a British expression. So apparently I'm a big thief. I'm like the Chick Dane
Plagiarizer.
I am plagiarizing all the time. I'm just stealing shit. But so I had tequila, orange juice, and cinnamon. It's really like the cinnamon really brings it up, because it's not a ton of calories, and well, you have to have tequila when you're I'm not an animal.
Oh,
when you're
yeah, of
having
course.
Mexican.
Come on.
So it was delicious. So we should do this like they do like the Miss America pageant. We'll start with like the third runner-up.
Okay.
Right? We'll have third runner-up, second, first, and then our beauty pageant. So we both agree on the fourth place.
Yeah.
The mighty have fallen.
I know.
Well, like Sinatra says, sometimes you're up and then you're down. Gardein.
I know. Shocker.
Yikes.
Shocker.
And I made myself a giant Gardein burrito that I was like, here you go, Duke. Cadbury, does anyone...
It was not good.
It
was all right, but...
Yeah, it wasn't like... Listen, it wasn't horrible, but it was like blander than a Jay Leno monologue. How about that? Where do you work, sir? The government? Like, I was like, ugh.
That's been like a Mike Bullard.
I know. Well, my Jay Leno and Mike Bullard aren't too similar.
They both suck.
That's right. Well, he was always taking shots at me on his show. It was like a one-way rivalry.
God.
Yeah, it was the clear loser.
It really was. I was really. I know it was disappointing because we love everything else.
But that's the whole reason you do the show, because sometimes one line of products, there's going to be the the winners and the stars of it, and the ground beef wasn't their forte.
It's so true.
Yeah. So sadly. And then we have difference of opinion, but pretty. I mean,
Close.
This is like a photo finish for the second and first runner up. I think you preferred the Eves and I preferred the Light Life.
That's correct.
So we switched that order. But all this to say, kids, is I got to be honest, this was not a competition whatsoever.
There was no competition. There really wasn't.
God.
The Beyond Meat was hands down, to coin a Carlaism, the titties and beer.
It was the tits and the beer. It was light years ahead.
Oh my God.
It wasn't even the same category. Like, it wasn't even in the same...
It wasn't even the same stratosphere. It really
wasn't.
This was Pee Wee versus NHL, right? Like miles apart. And it
was like LeBron James playing with the high school students. And more similes are coming because we can't stop them now.
That's right. The floodgates are open. And I had a suspicion when I was cooking it down that it would probably be more flavorful. There would seem to be a lot more, fat.
Right.
Present in the frying pan.
Which is always delicious.
Well, fat is flavor, right? That's why everyone likes their marbled steaks, because, that's where the flavor is. It's in the fat.
So a couple of caveats to this. Too, it is the clear winner. It was delicious. We were fighting over it. There's like no Beyond Meat left because I had it cold this morning for breakfast. And I'm like, I'll leave. Hey, I left you some. It's like a mouse was in there.
Oh,
and but now, having said that, you said it was way more expensive than the others.
Yeah, it's double the price.
Okay.
So this pack of ground beef, the Beyond Meat ground beef, was coming up $11 in comparison to like $4 and change for the other ones. So
to me, worth it. Totally worth it.
Well,
if you want a good burger or ground beef or whatever you're using your ground beef for. Yeah, and the other thing is, because I wanted to do some research, because you were like, look, there's like probably a hell of a lot of fat in this. I did do some research, and if you're looking for a healthier alternative to a typical burger,
like ground beef, like animal burger,
a grass-fed burger and a Beyond Meat burger, from all the research I did, basically the same. It is no more healthy. It's very similar caloric-wise, same amount of saturated fat. The only plus side for the Beyond Meat burger is that there's no cholesterol. And as you were mentioning, no hormones.
No antibiotics.
Right. All that
it's also
stuff.
healthier for the environment because,
it goes without saying. Yeah,
exactly.
Part.
So, there's a few more pros.
Right.
Pros to the Beyond Meat product than a regular beef patty, but
not surprisingly, that's what they use for the A-dubs. Because I said, because I love the A&W vegan burger, and I said, what? And you said it's the Beyond Meat.
It's the Beyond Meat, yeah.
No, what was that? Now I don't know if you can. I don't want to put you on the spot, but I know you were talking about stats. Like Beyond Meat has grown like
since the pandemic,
6 million % or something since the pandemic. And I was like, no wonder they're killing it.
Yeah, since the pandemic started, and we pulled these stats a while ago, so a couple of months ago, and so things might have changed. In fact, I'm probably expecting it'd be even higher. But so at the time we pulled the stats, Beyond Meat had grown 147% in sales from the same period over the previous
Right.
time, the previous year.
Yeah, and this was like early this year. We're looking at January stats.
Yeah, it was probably around
Is
January.
when we were looking
Yeah.
at it. Yeah, and I mean, it really was. It was so yummy.
Well, it's super delicious, right? And
And I defy you. Like, if you have somebody in your household, if you're like, I would really miss I don't know how you would tell the difference.
well, when I said to you, when we were serving this stuff, like I have not had beef
Since you were a child.
since I was 14 years
Yeah.
old, right? And
I
I'm
had, though.
in my 50s now, so,
So.
there's no way I even recall what beef tastes like. So, and you had said that you couldn't tell the difference.
No, it's truly delicious. So for that, it was fun. And so for the crumble off, clear winner. If you're looking to use that as a substitute, and I know for a lot of people, Boigers, it's the American
Yeah.
and North American
It's the
food of
tradition,
choice
right?
and barbecues. So I got to tell you, she wears the crown, that one.
Yep, she does. The tiara and
Yep.
the long stem roses and the whole shooting match. Like, it was, as you said, there was no contest. It was unfreaking believable.
It was amazing. Yeah. Very, very cool. So yay. Well, so we'll do more of that because I really liked that whole
Yeah, it was fun.
side-by-side Pepsi challenge that we did with, and you really kind of have to have them all at the same time, except for that one, which was, we just knew the Beyond Meat one. The rest are in the fridge.
Yeah,
So
we'll
that
figure
was
out something to do with those, whether it be like a spaghetti bolognese one
Yeah.
day or throw it in another tortilla or something like that.
It's another meatless pie, which I
Exactly.
like. I enjoy that very much. So yeah, we had that. And while I was thinking of this, I think last week we chatted about the Justine Bateman Facebook, which got all
Yes.
kinds of media attention.
Yeah.
How she's elected not to have plastic surgery. On the other end of the spectrum, the picture of Madonna that Madonna posted on her Instagram at the age of 62.
You showed me that photo. I'm like, Jesus Christ, she looks like Pete Burns.
Which I stole that line immediately and posted that, and people were looking up Pete Burns. But yes, it is unrecognizable.
Yeah.
It looks good. And again, so, my philosophy is like, look, these are tuxedos we're renting. That's our body. So if you want to have your tuxedo altered, go ahead. If you want to walk around for the rest of your life with a mustard stain on your tuxedo, like, I don't judge either way, right? That's fine. But someone, my friend Karen Gordon, works at the CBC, and she said, I wish Madonna had attacked aging the way she did everything else. Mm-hmm. It's too bad she wasn't a maverick that way.
Yeah.
And I know a few episodes ago, I'm sure for obvious reasons, when I drink, I tend to become a Looney Tunes character. It's just lucky it's not Pepe Le Pew.
Oh my goodness. Yeah, we'll have to
So,
cancel you in that
I
case.
know. Well, I'm not important enough to be canceled. Wait till I get to Pepe level, and then they can cancel me. When that Netflix show that Oliver keeps predicting comes about. But I was saying how, and very thrilled that, now trans models and role models are very much accepted, and plus size models and very celebrated. And I said, I noticed that Liam Neeson is still fighting crime in his late 70s as an action fighter. All the Marvel superheroes are in their 50s. The men, Scarlett Johansson, not so much. But so to my delight this week, Paulina Porskova is on the cover of Vogue in a mesh, and that's not a slur, like see-through, beautiful bodysuit,
Really?
smoke show, and very natural looking, by the way. Like, it's not like she's had a bunch of, like, she just so unbelievably beautiful. So I thought that was extremely inspiring. And Elizabeth Hurley, who I've had the pleasure of interviewing on a couple of occasions, and I think because she's so ridiculously beautiful, people do not know how unbelievably smart and what a businesswoman she is.
Wow.
She produced a lot of her movies.
Oh, did she
A
really?
lot of movies, yes, that Hugh Grant starred in. She would be the producer. She was very much the brains of the operation. And we knew that when he mistook a BMW for a hotel room. Yes, you're still the go-to blowy joke, Hugh. Still. I know it was 1995 or something, but you're still the first blowy joke.
And have you seen him recently, by the by? Hugh Grant?
Well, we saw him I think you and I saw him.
Not aging well.
No, it was tougher, but I mean, yeah, I know he's still got that boyish charm, but
Well, he's British.
yeah. He was a dick in the interviews.
Was he?
He's like
You said that.
one
he was
and only
awful.
guy who was
Yeah.
a dick, hon. I have to tell you, almost every star and star, actor, actress medium-sized, huge interplanetary stars. They were all really lovely. And I interviewed Whitney.
Oh
We
my
hugged,
God.
And her wig crunched. I know. She was
Diva.
No, she wasn't. She wasn't
Really?
a diva, but Hugh Grant was. So Hugh Grant, sit
I know.
down.
So, go figure.
I know. British. See, sometimes you're Brits, okay? And so I told on him because he was still with Elizabeth at the time, and I was like, hey, your dude was kind of a dick to me because I didn't really care about the job I was doing now. I did, but I didn't pull any punches.
No, nor should you.
I said, your dude had a bit of attitude. And and she's like, well, this movie is very important to me, and so I'm going to talk to him. And anyway, I loved her. So she has a line of bikinis, and she's been posting pictures. She's 56 as well, by the way. So is Paulina.
Wow.
Unreal.
Wow. I haven't seen these photos.
I mean, she's always been very much into fitness and a good diet, and I think just leads a great life. And she has the abs of a 19. So and I don't mean like you have to be hot. I just mean I feel like they're just. I like the fact. Let me be careful with this because aren't people. Well, I love that the media is praising them and celebrating them. I like that they're getting equal time.
Yeah.
I just want people of all ages, size, shapes, forms, and identities to get this equal time.
Yeah,
So
and they should.
I thought it was very cool that both those ladies this week, I was like, well, hello. And Madonna looks like Pete Burns. Anyway.
She does.
A little crazy.
I know.
Cucamonga.
I know. I was really quite sad to see that actually, because you know how much I love Pete Burns.
And listen, I'm a white woman. I'm programmed to love Madonna. Mm-hmm. But it was, again, it looks good, but it's just up to her, though. I have to stay to my philosophy. Stay true to my philosophy.
Yeah, no, exactly. And we're not judgy, but I mean, it came as a bit of a.
Well, again, because I think and obviously we don't all have the dollars to, but I sort of agree. Like, I think when you no longer look like yourself, and Madonna did, look, she shattered a lot of glass ceilings, and there was a lot of attitude, whether you loved her or hated her. She was her own person, and now I feel like, as I said last week, she's sort of a Kardashian, and
that's not necessarily
to
good.
look like a schoolgirl when you're 62. Yeah. Like I would kind of embrace if
Yeah.
So there's that, but again, I like the fact that, as I said, it's your temple. You do with it what you will. Moving on in our week to our next video date. So I just want to say this because I've never had this happen. Michael and I had a business meeting.
A business.
With a local guy. He kind of, I think, divides his time between Barrie and Hollywood. So I'm like, oh, we belong to the same support group.
Yes, you do.
We should meet. And so, as I typically do, and another one of my expression, along with titties and beer, is what's your origin story? Mm-hmm. So very earnestly, he's like, well, I started in a boy band, and I was like, but I had to stop it.
But for reals, he did.
I just think it's so awesome that we know someone who is in a boy band. I have to say that because I'm like, is he a straight man who can dance? We may have to go out with him.
We might.
We're going to have to go dancing when the plague's over in 2025. But so yeah, and he's a music composer, so perhaps he would like to do because we don't have a theme song still. For
I know, and we did broach that subject during our meeting with him because he's just launched this new company, in which he's representing artists who might write jingles or
because they can actually make money as opposed to having 400,000 Spotifys and getting $1
and getting nothing. Exactly. So so he's creating this music library, where people can use his service to to earn a living creating. And kudos to him for that. And he also writes, composes for Disney Pixar and
I barely heard any of the other part of the story because I was too busy Googling this boy band. Because that's one of my jokes when people are like, how'd you start? I'm like, well, I was in a boy band.
Yeah, and interesting.
No, but really he was.
He was, and it was a very successful band.
I don't know anyone else out in the wild, like as a personal friend who was in a boy band. Like I'm going to be dining on this one for a couple of weeks is all I'm saying.
You're going to be milking it. But what a lovely guy too, and he was funny and he was humble and he was
at the end you're like, we're looking for a man, and I was like to Sharon, he just said, don't let this get weird, and I'm like, oh, I think we're late on that.
Oh my god,
it's already weird.
Hey, he embraced it all. He invited us over to his penthouse.
I know. And I also like someone who can sneak in the word penthouse. So I'm like, maybe when it's better weather, you could come to the farm. I'm always getting people to the farm. Maybe people will be giving birth here. We never know what's happening on the farm. And he was like, no, you should come to my penthouse. And I'm like, work in penthouse. He worked in boy band and penthouse like that. And you and I actually weren't drinking.
No, we were not. We were taking a break that day.
So that was super fun. That was,
yeah, he's a great guy.
Yeah. So maybe we can because I really think, we've had our first sound effect. Mm-hmm. We should really up more. The whole production value on this.
I know. We need more. I got to find a drum roll.
I know. When we announce, you said that you have an applause break, though.
I do have an applause, yeah.
I don't know why that's not getting hit when I throw down some of my gem one-liners. I don't know why that's not being used more often.
God.
But so I always tell people, they're like, so, what's the show about? My brother will be, well, what exactly do you talk about? And I said, well, we have a recipe that sometimes we throw in and we give people life hacks, but mostly it's just Michael and I.
You're eavesdropping.
Any other day of our life.
It's true. So we're just allowing people to eavesdrop on our lives, and this is what it's like for us. Pretty much every day of the week when we're not sleeping.
It truly is. It truly is.
Witty repartee.
Making fun of each other, having fun, and basically handling many dogs. But so this week I didn't. I said I have a little, not surprise, but I had a little insomnia last night, which I get now and then. It
happens from time to time.
Not just because animals will wake us up at 2 or 3
o'clock in the morning.
You're like, it's so good we're comfortable with each other. We've seen each other. And I'm like, well, I'm not zhuzhing up at 3 a.m. Just a second.
I love, because I'm staying on the main floor at the moment.
Because of dogs.
Yeah, exactly. Because Cadbury's too old to make it up the stairs.
And I'm
too old to carry him.
Because we're using that now. Yes, Cadbury can't go up the stairs. And you want to, I would do the same thing.
But I love that at 2:30 in the morning when we're both stumbling out of bed looking like a bag of smashed arse holes. Like we just don't even care what we look like anymore.
I feel like that's harsh. But I know we're just walking around in various t-shirts and striped pajama bottoms.
Grunting at each other.
My hair is even bigger than this because, at night it grows quite a bit. Like a chia pet that... the chia pet that you fed like a gremlin after midnight. Hi, what's up? So I couldn't sleep. Mm-hmm. So my first go-to, which was before we do this, because I wanted to ask you, I know why I couldn't sleep and why I played DJ last night. Like, as we talked about, I don't know where you're listening to us from, but if you're in Brazil, you're basically like we are in Ontario, Canada right now.
Mm-hmm.
I came here as a refugee. What the hell's going on?
Don't know.
We're in like double, triple, quadruple lockdown. That word was quadruple, by the way. And at one point, 24 hours ago, they said police could just randomly stop people, which is going to be awesome if you're not white. Like, let's be honest. Like, that's just a horrible thing. They've retracted that. Anyway, I'm just saying 2 words, paid leave. But and they've added a couple weeks to the lockdown. I don't know. This whole thing is cuckoo, right? Like,
well, the whole thing is a total shit show, and
I'm so shocked that Canada's in the state it is.
I'm more than shocked. I'm embarrassed. I mean, we're supposed to, be setting an example. I mean, Canada's supposed to be one of the most amazing places on the planet in which to live, and how is it possible that we've done such a shitty job containing this pandemic? We've got one fucking border we've got to deal with. Like, I just don't understand.
And we talked about last week how the CDC is no longer saying,
don't come to Canada.
Level 4. And now Japan, this is more specific, it's a direct hit, said, don't come to Ontario.
Shocking.
So we're dealing with this, and that's why we also like doing this show and trying to make people laugh and maybe keeping you as healthy as possible. Gurgle, gurgle. But and obviously, as I always try to preface, anytime I speak about COVID or what's going on because people have lost loved ones, with these variants, I know that people are also very ill. So I don't want to diminish from that. This is like I'm just making conversation about what I miss, because obviously this is not a hardship for me, not being with you, honey, and our various animals. But this week I got very homesick for dancing.
Yeah, of course.
Maybe even talking to Norman. Like, I taught dance, I taught bar, and there's difference. Like, just me up in my room with the kittens is fun to a certain extent. And then it gets a little weird. Speaking of get weird, and by the way, when I dance, I do look like an ostrich on acid, which I think your neighbors
That
can
I'd like to
attest to.
see.
When I go, oh, I do. I just like, is that a giraffe on cocaine? What's going on? When I walk zero, I'll have my earbuds in. God knows what kind of steps they're being treated to. And as you know, my dancing has been called aggressive and brave and violent.
Aggressive, like that Seinfeld character Elaine, or
Oh, yes. Oh, well, and mostly because I really want someone to dance with me, so I will chase someone around like Rocky chasing the chicken to get them to dance with me. And so I was missing that, so I was playing DJ all night and going, and as you know, one of them was the Bailey Phillip.
yes, because we've been
Call
singing
it
that all
song.
afternoon.
Easy lover. So after I did that, I, of course, wandered over to Facebook, because the reason I'm now avoiding Facebook, because when I'm on Facebook late at night, creepy people will message me and go,
Yes.
hey, I noticed you're awake. I'm like, what? I got to figure out a way to turn off that notification. But so, my darling,
Yes, Angel.
I don't know if you're familiar with the show. This was on like 3 or 4 years ago, called First Impressions. Dana Carvey was the producer and host. And it was basically like Last Comic Standing, but for comedians who did impressions.
Okay.
So you know I was not on this show, the worst impression person in the world. But so the guy who won it, I've done a lot of shows with, and they typically use that as his credit. And I'm going to give his name because he announced it on Facebook, so I think that's cool. Justin Ruppel, I believe, or Justin Ruppel, but I think it's Ruppel, 2 P's. And he's often a host, very funny comic, going to say in his 30s. So we're Facebook friends because we work together, and they said, we want to welcome a new member to our family. And I'm thinking, oh,
Had a baby.
yeah, because he has a beautiful blonde wife, Katie, and he speaks of her often. Sounds like they have. This is Claire, who's another hot woman in her what would look like late 20s to early 30s, because they are a throuple,
What?
like legit.
Like polygamy.
Yes. Well, those were the hashtags. It was polyamorous,
Oh my God.
polynation. I'm like, holy shit. So, I wanted to lay this on you because my first instinct, being a, like when
You're a
people,
prude. I'm a prude.
I'm not a prude, but we're square.
Yeah.
Like we're nerdy, kind of square. Conservative when it comes to
traditionalist.
that a little bit. Like
Yeah.
I don't like to say prude because I'm all like, hey, do a donkey. Like no, I'm not a prude that way. No, but I mean, like prudes tend to. It sounds judgy, and you and I are only judgy when it comes to fashion, and apparently my hair. But my first thing was like, oh my God, this is wild, and that morphed into, hey, I don't think traditional relationships exactly have a great track record, right? Mm-hmm. So says the woman who's like, I don't know if you noticed, but my marriage is
18 husbands?
Yes, 18 husbands. No, it's 18 fiancés, 2 husbands. I don't know why the math is so difficult
I've
for
lost
everyone.
count.
I know. Pi, infinity. It's a Mobius strip. Okay, so I thought, hey, whatever works for you. And then my third go-to was a very Dave Chappelle response, because your comedian comes up first. I'm like, I'm just totally jealous about the material. He's a solid comic, and now can you imagine?
He's got more
Let
stuff
me talk
from
about
which to
my
draw.
wives. I feel like your cat's about to have some of our guacamole. So, I was curious because again, like, I just wondered. I wonder what gay fiance thinks of this, because we joke, like, in every business meeting, we're looking for a third. Which, by the way, I hope people know we're joking, because sometimes they're like, okay, and we're like, hey, it's a joke. But I wonder what you thought of that.
I'm a little stunned to learn of this, and when I
Because it's the first person I know in the wild. Like,
Yeah,
that
like-
I actually know of who is in.
that's in a polygamous relationship. Like
Yes.
I'm whatever, me, whatever bakes your cake, whatever works for you, if you're not hurting anybody.
Well, there's a lot. Sometimes too many cooks.
Right? I don't know that it's something that I could, subscribe to. And in the gay community, I mean, most gay relationships are open relationships, and
Yeah, I didn't know that until a couple of years ago, by the way.
yeah, that's not for me either, I don't think.
Yeah, I'm a serial monogamist myself.
Well,
think.
yeah, I mean, as am I think. And I know that there was a time when I considered an open relationship with my ex. I mean, he was sowing oats elsewhere, and I was devastated when I found out.
Well, that's because also, but see, that's a betrayal, right? Because you hadn't agreed upon it. Like, this is obviously everybody knows about each other in this 3-way.
Sure, but I mean,
like would you have invited a third person?
Well,
I
suggested.
Oh.
I had this conversation with my ex, and and the last few years of our relationship were sexless, and so now I understand why, because you were getting your needs met elsewhere. And so I was faithful, you clearly weren't. And so I had this conversation, like, how are we going to deal with this? Do we need to consider an open relationship, where I can, rather than, living like a nun, go out and get my needs met, and you can continue getting your needs met. So I did have this conversation, and he was vehemently opposed to it, of course, because you want your cake and eat it too.
He was all Marie Antoinette.
Very much
he didn't want you, but he didn't want you. Well, it's a good deal for him.
A bit of a double standard, but I had considered it in all honesty. We had built this life together, and I'd spent almost 10 years with this guy, and we had animals and the farm and all that kind of stuff, and so there were other issues that you're aware of, but
you went there as a way to perhaps like a Hail Mary.
Well, just I think I was exploring options, how to allow the relationship to evolve.
Right.
In hindsight, it would never have worked for me. I would have, toward the end, I was still thinking to myself, okay, so every time you go to work, you're leaving an hour or 2 hours early. Like, who are you meeting on the way?
Oh, that
so I'm not sure that
torturous.
I'm not sure that I could have, even if we were honest about meeting up with other people. I'm not sure that I could have dealt with that. I think it would have been my undoing.
Well, the three's a crowd, or third wheel are cliches for a reason, right? Because my white girl neurosis goes to, those two will have quorum. Like, they're plotting against me. They're both making fun of my hair, aren't they? Like, and also, like, who's got the energy?
Well, I think you need
to have like two dudes would be.
I mean, we joke about it, right?
Of course, yeah. And joke, and also, I'm not talking about a 3-way, right? Don't. Well, don't get it twisted. This isn't like, hey.
No, it's not about having a gangbang.
No, or like we're gonna have a 3-way to spice things up. I mean, the three of them are
cohabitating.
Yes, people were welcomed into the family, and obviously, I don't know if were her parents, but Claire, the newcomer, people were saying, I'm so glad that Claire's found two people, because they said they've been dating for the last 10 years. He went to college with her or something, and they're just all making it official. She's moving to LA, and they were getting congratulated like you would at a traditional wedding. And we're so glad someone sees how special our Claire is, and you've got to take good care. It did warm the cockles of my heart to see how people were very accepting and welcoming, which I like, because I think we've come a long way. And especially
we're
members
evolving.
of the LGBTQ community, of course. They were at the forefront, and I gave it a big old love, too. I didn't write anything down, and again, because I'm like, and somebody said, a Repple Thruple. Like, what are the odds he has that name? And I was like, is he just doing it for the wordplay? Just for the wordplay. Like when Tom Brady went to Tampa Bay so he could call it Tampa Bay and Tampa Brady, I'm like, did he pick that team just for the wordplay? Because also I'm not
You gotta wonder.
I'm a wordplay girl.
Yeah.
So yeah, I just wonder, like, it was interesting. I went through all the stages. I'm like, what in the whole what? And again, it's like three young, beautiful people, like they would be on the brochure for polygamy, because that's not always the case. And so, like Sister Wives was not,
Oh God, no.
Poster child for. And I don't know. I always think that, and I don't know because I can't do a comparing and contrast, right? I was wondering, and I'm just saying this out to the listeners. I'd love your comments. Would that increase the intimacy? Does it hinder the intimacy because you've got three and those are moving parts, right? I don't know. And then I was like, life's short, bucket list. But it was wild. But yeah, so I was curious because I'm like, well, isn't this a little nugget in the middle of the night?
God, you sound like
easy lover. And then back to me doing my Kenneth Babyface Edmonds. I was deep into the 90s and 80s.
And your O'Hara impression, which you do exceptionally well, I have to say.
The Catherine O'Hara?
Yes.
Alexis, where's the baby? I just need a better her vocabulary was always exceptional.
God, I know.
That's why I tell you, I'm like, fiance, I'm feeling rather peckish. Perhaps we can have some. Working on my Moira Rose.
Oh my God.
And my David Rose comes naturally because it's always like, oh my God. We don't have time for that right now. Ew.
Oh gosh.
So this is, again, it's just been Segway City. Again. I don't know how I'm still not hosting a morning show. Humble Howard, please. Look at this fire. Lastly on today's show, because we had talked about this last night, some people have contacted me or emailed me and said, what about dating? Or what if, what if your partner's not vegan? Then what do you do?
Well, I mean, that's
and
not...
I'm like, it's not like one of us is a pedophile. Like, there's some, deal breakers, girls.
Exactly.
God, with all the problems right now.
Oh my God.
The serpent, the serial killer was having
this is the least of your
right?
concerns.
I was like, I think we can coexist.
You can.
It's not even different religions. It's and you said again, because we're all about balance here.
Yeah.
Your philandering ex.
He was great about it. I mean, he went, credit where credit is due, and I'm always fair, as you know. Mm-hmm. He was a total rock star where that was concerned. He would always go above and beyond to try and find, comparable products for me so that we could always, and how lovely is this, so that we could always have the same meals. So, for example, if it was fajita night and he was having, skirt steak in his fajita, he would find a comparable vegan product so that we could always be eating the same things. And
so nice.
Yeah,
I don't think it's super difficult.
It's not difficult, and and he was very respectful. I mean, we even had our own sides of the barbecue, and
very kosher. Like if you had a kosher and a non-kosher.
Yeah,
person
and it's really no different, right?
Wedding.
It kind of is the same. It would be no different than if I was Jewish and he was just honoring my need to have kosher meals, right?
Exactly. It's not like
it's not hard. It wasn't.
And they're like, well, if you're on a date and a guy doesn't dig you because you're vegan, you got bigger problems than that. Like,
oh my
that's
God,
his
absolutely.
problem,
And that never,
or vice versa.
Yeah, that never hindered us. Let's just call him Don.
Yes,
that never hindered Don and I.
Cleverly disguised.
It never hindered us. I mean, we would still go out and have meals together and, go out to our favorite restaurants and pubs and it never got in the way. And, God love him for all of his faults. He always made sure that I was cared for at mealtime, and it's not that. And he did most of the cooking. I'll be straight up with you. And he's a great cook.
Wonderful.
And he learned how to cook vegan, and he's not. He is the consummate carnivore.
Yeah, he was hardcore.
He loved his
beef.
Yeah, he loved his meat.
I had 72 punchlines for that straight line, and I'm too classy, though. I didn't do it.
Well, and thank you for that.
Do it.
And he did. He loved his meat.
So no, but Alexis.
But the point is, like, if this hardcore carnivore who'd never cooked vegan before in his life and who did most of the cooking here,
right? So you
could do it. Like, if he can do it, so can you.
If you're going to be annoying about it, because not mentioning names, I have a friend who's like, if you sit down and you're forcing someone to be vegan, well, that's not going to work from Jump Street anyway, because no one wants to be told what to do. We all have different body chemistries. So again, though, I think really, if they can make a throuple work, I'm pretty sure that a vegan and a non-vegan can coexist.
Well, we certainly did, my ex and I, and it was never a point of contention.
Well, to that end, let's call my ex Chai.
Chai latte.
When Chai and I were together, I was on day 10 of a cleanse when he got a DUI. It's funny because it's true.
Oh my God, love that. I love that you're.
That was a really bad example because that's when I left. But
I love that
he did most of the cooking as well. Well, that's what you get when we do the show late. That's what you're in for. So, so yeah, do not worry if you've got vegan and non-vegan and intermittent vegans all under the same roof.
We can all coexist.
It's fine. We've really got bigger issues.
We do
currently. And I think that's it.
Yeah,
Alex,
I
is there
think
anything else
that's a wrap. No,
it's really eclectic this week. We're all over the map. And be careful, we might video call you against your. Hello, it's us.
Oh my God.
We have our drinks. Talk to us on your video camera phone, Alexa. It's getting better.
Oh, it's
getting better.
Honestly, your Moira impression is.
Well, let's
superb.
be honest, all right? You know that when I grow up, 10, 20 years from now, I am basically Moira and Norma Desmond having a love child. I'm the baby of Norma Desmond. And you're going to be my Max. Like, Carla, look at all the fan mail you're getting. But it's all in your writing. I'll be like, Joseph loves me. Look at all the followers you have on Instagram.
Oh my God!
But it's an Etch-a-Sketch. I know. I know what I'm gonna be.
Etch-a-Sketch.
But I'm gonna be so healthy when I do it.
Oh God!
Look at all my followers, and it's just chickens behind me. Oh, we're laughing.
Oh Lord!
So we gotta use our high-end production. we have to end big.
Oh my God! Yeah. So once again, thanks to Craig Stepp.
Yes, for providing our first sound effect. We have all 3 dogs are looking at us like bitches.
Like, what's going on in here?
And thank you for listening. Please like and subscribe and give us your comments. And just like my friend Linda, my beautiful angel Linda Elmy Sullivan, she actually sent me a note on Insta. Mm-hmm. On my Etch-a-Sketch. And she said she went to the Loblaws to try Gardein.
Oh, fantastic!
Because we were talking about it, so we'd love to hear from you and what.
Yeah, I want to. I want to
Yeah.
know what she thinks, and I want to know what our listeners think.
Yeah, she's gonna let us know. So
Fantastic!
All right, do you have it ready?
I have it.
Oh
I have
my
it
God,
ready.
so high end. Go, Craig, go. Let's get ready.
Let's get ready to crumble.
Oh, I love that
He gets
man.
royalties.
I love that man so much.
À bientôt next week.
Take care, everybody. Until next week.